Good afternoon. Welcome to the Affordable Housing Advisory Board of Hillsborough County. We are conducting a hybrid meeting today. Some of our members are actually in attendance at the county center, and others are attending virtually. Today is Monday, December 7th, and I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone. We don't quite have a quorum, but I would like to ask either Natasha or our clerk to do a roll call to establish not only attendance, but also a quorum in the room.
Commissioner, we just received our quorum. Mr. Powell is in attendance now.
All right. So can you please call attendance, please?
Yes, ma'am. Overman.
Here.
Rosenwasser.
Here.
Burton.
Here.
Lott.
Here.
Donahue.
Here.
Powell.
Here.
Jackson Sims. Hudson.
Here.
Combs.
Here.
O'Donnelly. Nieves. Strom. Okay, we have excused absences for Councilman Goods and Mr. Hollis.
Excellent. I did have an intention for Ms. Jackson Sims to actually attend virtually, but she's not online. Is that correct? It doesn't appear so. We'll just assume that she's either joining us late or she'll join us later. Well, welcome everyone. And I'd like to open the agenda item number 3 for public comment. Public comment are appreciated by and given an opportunity to speak to issues associated with the county as it relates to affordable housing. We've set 15 minutes aside for public comment, and immediately we'll go through the public comment. The board may hear comments at the end of the meeting for anyone that doesn't able to do that within the first 15 minutes. There's a public comment form at Hillsborough County /speak up to be able to participate, or you can always reach out and send an email to the Affordable Housing Department. We do have several people that have signed up, and I'm going to call on each of them. You'll need to open your mic when your name is called, and you have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker is Carol Ransom. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. I do want to thank you for this opportunity. I live here in East Tampa, which is part of Hillsborough County. And I noticed during the pandemic that a lot of the construction that would have been set aside by Hillsborough County has been wrapped up in red tape. In the meantime, we have a number of developers that are in our community today. They are producing a product somewhere along the line, and I've seen it go as high as $438,000. We know that affordable housing is a must. First and foremost, working class housing is detrimental to our society. We have got to make room for those people who have not yet reached that benchmark that says affordable housing. We are still workforce housing, and we need a product. We need something that we can purchase between $80,000 and $150,000, something that we can own, which has always been the great American dream. Right now, we know we're in the stages of pandemic. We have families that are squeezed in on top of other family members. Excuse me. And when anybody is declared positive by the COVID test 19, we don't even have enough accommodations for that person to be able to move out and move somewhere else because they're not positive. Therefore, we have families that are sleeping in cars because one family member may test positive. What we're asking for, and this is not beyond human dignity, it is workforce housing. We know that the county owns a bundle of land off of Fly and 50th Street. Some of the trees have already been weeded out. We're asking for a particular product, whether it's the container homes, whether it's just a small tiny village with smaller homes, but we need a product where working class people can afford to live without concern of being forced out because they cannot meet mortgages. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comments, Ms. Ransom. I appreciate that. Next on the sign up is Carolyn Kirkland. Is Carolyn Kirkland available?
Commissioner, I do not believe she's signed up just yet or has joined the meeting.
She hasn't joined the meeting as of yet. Okay, great. Well, if she does come in before we're done, could you please bring that to my attention? I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Next on the sign up is Diane Hart. I don't know if you're wearing your representative hat today, but thank you very much for joining us. Ms. Hart, you're recognized.
Thank you very much for allowing me an opportunity to come on. No, I'm just kind of wearing my East Tampa Business and Civic Association hat as a CEO of a not-for-profit. And I do understand exactly what Ms. Carroll is saying. One of the things I'd like us maybe to consider is how we do some demo and rebuild for people who are living in some dilapidated houses in our county. Many of you all do know that Grant Park, which is part of my district, is the county. When you cross, I think it's 52nd, it turns from the city to the county. So there is some opportunity, I believe, for us possibly to do something over in the Grant Park area. And I know the parcel of land that Carol happens to be talking about. It's been around for a long, long time. And surely we do need to do something to develop that land. So as a not-for-profit and an affordable housing provider, I do understand we're being priced out of the rental market, completely out of the rental market. We can barely find anywhere for people to move to. And yes, people are doing what we call couch surfing, which is really another form of homelessness. And it's getting cold, temperatures are changing. I hate to think what we're going to look like when this moratorium is over if we do not get an extension on the moratorium. So I believe that Hillsborough County has a real opportunity. I don't really know what your budget looks like, but I believe that every municipality is going to have a real opportunity to provide some affordable housing. And I would just implore you all to please look at the demo rebuild and see how we might be able to put up some houses for people who are living in dilapidated circumstances where the house costs far too much for us to rehab them, but we don't want to put people out of their houses. So I look forward to working with you all as a legislator when I go back to Tallahassee to see what it is we can do. As you all know, I will continue to fight for the Sadowski Housing Trust Fund, which I thought we won last year at $387 million, and it got swept from the budget by the governor. So I will continue my fight both there and at home. So thank you very much. And I'm just going to continue watching to see other comments from the rest of our community members. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. And I are on the same page. I'm actually going to speak to some of the things that you just described regarding our state issues a little bit later. But thank you very much for being here, and please stay on. We have more to share with you. Next on our speaker list is Mr. Sean Wilson. Sean Wilson, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just as a follow-up to the prior comment, as a reminder, I'm with Blue Sky Communities, 5300 West Cypress Street. I'm also the Legislative Affairs Chair of our statewide Affordable Housing Developers Advocacy Coalition. So we really are focused on session and lobbying leadership in the state and the House. So I welcome collaboration with the county on that. I wanted to give one quick update on a development that Blue Sky is working on with UACDC. It's called Uptown Sky. I mean, I've talked about it before. It's 61 units of proposed rental housing on 12th and Fletcher. That's got a large allocation of funding from the county's HOPE fund, and the development is moving along nicely through permitting. And we expect to break ground hopefully in April or May, and it's going to be a really exciting development. It's a single building, 4-story, all 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units, so really a family-oriented community. Lastly, I wanted to talk about a couple of RFPs that the county had put out, but then they pulled them, and I thought that the folks on this board may want to be aware of that. First was the Ybor City county-owned property, which is across the street from the sheriff's department, also across the street from Columbia Restaurant. Blue Sky applied under that program. The other applicant was the Darrell Shaw Company, and I think that the staff and the committee, the review committee, was unfortunately for Blue Sky was leaning towards selecting Mr. Shaw's proposal, but that got pulled, and so that's an affordable housing opportunity that's in an urban area, that's near jobs, it's near transit, and I hope that the county looks at those parcels again in the future for a potential affordable housing. Secondly, it was Mosey, and I was happy to actually see that this RFP got pulled, not because I want to push back that redevelopment, but because there has to be affordable housing on the Mosey site in the future. And I think that the county should break apart the Mosey RFP into just an affordable housing RFP on Mosey and then everything else. Because it's very difficult for a big master developer of 50 or 100 acres to then say, and I'm going to do a little bit of affordable housing or some affordable housing, because affordable housing is developed by specialists, and a big master developer is not a specialist. And so I would urge the county, when they reissue the Mosey RFP, to actually either issue 2 separate RFPs or issue it under the supposition that they're going to get 2 classes of respondents, one who's doing affordable housing and one who's doing everything else. And that concludes my public comment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I appreciate that. Has Carlin Kirkland checked in yet?
No, she has not.
Okay, all right. Well, that is the end of the list of those that have signed up for public comment. Thank you all for being here. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, given that we have a quorum. Approval of the November 9th regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
Second.
I couldn't hear.
Motion approved.
Mr. Powell has made a motion and Mayor Lott has made the second. Is that correct?
It was Mr. Rosenwasser.
Offered a second. It is difficult to hear those in the room, so you'll need to get very close to your mic and speak up just so that I'm able to hear you. With that, unless there's any other further comment, can I please call, I'll accept a roll call vote, please.
Overman,
Yes.
Rosenwasser,
Yes.
Burton,
Yes.
Lott,
Yes.
Donahue,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Hud,
Yes.
Combs.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the chair's report, and I'm going to keep this very short. As we heard from Representative Hart, as well as other public speaker, we do have a goal of helping redevelop communities. And last year, when the Sadowski Funds was supported by legislature, however, there was approximately $12 million the Hillsborough County was due to receive. However, it was not appropriated. So in 2020, we were able to successfully defend the Sadowski Trust. However, those funds were not appropriated for our use. In 2021, we will have a potential opportunity to support the Sadowski and preserving the Sadowski as an economic engine to our community, giving people jobs and providing for home ownership and rental properties and rehabilitation. that may be the equivalent of what we saw last year, because it seems as though the doc stamps that fund this trust still are being submitted, and those fees are being paid and collected, and it's likely that we would see a comparable amount allocated to our benefit in Hillsborough County. I would like to say that that means we should have 24 million or so available, but without reminding our legislators and those in appropriations that should be the case. I'm urging all of us to remember that we did not receive the funds that were allocated for us last year, and it is an important economic driver for our success in Hillsborough County. So with that, I am also looking forward to speaking to the legislative delegation this week. Oh gosh, it's getting here quickly. And look forward to seeing the committee assignments on the House and the Senate side to see who are our allies there when it comes to moving affordable housing forward as a strong, important basis for Hillsborough County and an economic driver for our recovery from COVID. With that, I'd like to open the door for our director to offer a director's report.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Commissioner, and thank all of you for bringing forth the public comments. And of course, thank you to our board for continuing to advocate for affordable housing needs in Hillsborough County. Commissioner, I would request your permission to rearrange a couple of things. We do have some guest speakers. We have Mariann Abrahamsen from the MPO, and if we could get her to come up and speak first, and then next we have Jim Taylor, and then I'll go through the remainder of my items, if so permitted.
Absolutely. Ms. Abrahamsen, if you're ready, you are recognized. Here.
All right, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you. So I'm here with my coworker, Jennifer Malone, and she is sharing her screen. So she will kick off our presentation today about the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan update. Specifically, we'll be speaking about the housing element. So Jennifer, take it away.
Sure, Jennifer Malone here. I am with the Hillsborough County Planning Commission, and we're going to provide an update about our comprehensive plan update, and specifically what we are working on is the housing element. First, I'll provide a little framework. The comprehensive plan is required for every jurisdiction per Florida state statute, and that is one of the roles of the Planning Commission is to maintain that plan and to make sure it is updated. And the plan provides policy direction at the local jurisdiction on issues that affect the quality of life. The state is pretty prescriptive actually about the background information that must be included in the plan, and all of that background information and data will inform those goals, objectives, and policies that we set out in the element. The plan is comprehensively updated every 6 to 10 years. The housing element has not been updated since 2008, so it is definitely time to take a look at this. The plan, however, is not regulatory. Certain items like setbacks and lot sizes are a function of the Land Development Code. However, the Comprehensive Plan and the Land Development Code kind of work together in that respect. It's also not a funding and programming plan, but state and federal housing plans must be consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the housing element. And I pulled that statement directly from the Department of Economic Opportunity website. So a lot of this information is available if anybody would like to look later. It's also not an action plan. We're just setting out some goals, objectives, and policies, but there is no, it's not necessarily an action plan in that respect. This is a graphic of the plan update and kind of where we are with it. One Water has, on the top right, has already been adopted, so that part is taken care of, and housing falls under the community and built environment section of the plan because it really ties in nicely with the future land use element as well as that mobility element. So we're really looking at how we can link housing, transportation, and the future land use with this element, with this update. So we started this in about summer of 2019. If anybody on the AHAB remembers Pedro Para, I started working with him on this before he retired. Since then, we've had Mariann come aboard, and she's been a big help. We have reviewed every single goal, objective, and policy in the housing element. We have looked at topic gaps. We've drafted policy language and reorganized policies. The picture on the On the bottom of the slide is all of the policies printed out on note cards, and we kind of set them out where we could see everything and rearrange and figure out where our topic gaps are. We also flagged policies for further discussion. Right now, we're in this working group phase, and some members of this board are on those working groups with us, which we surely appreciate. We'll be moving into stakeholder involvement and policy refinement as well.
Ms. Malone,
Yes.
could you move a little closer to the mic? You're breaking up just a teeny bit. And so I just want to make sure everyone hears all of your words. Thank you.
I apologize. Feel free to cut me off if you can't hear me. I hope that this is a little bit better. Great. So we were looking at the Board of County Commissioners policy statements to help inform this plan update. So these are some statements from the workshop that the Board of County Commissioners have given us that we're looking at, including in the update, maintaining a range of affordable housing, making sure that we've linked affordable housing with transit and infrastructure, as well as looking at density bonuses and incentives, and making sure that this is accessible to employment and mass transit as well. A good thing is that we do have a lot of these items in the plan already, but we're going to try and make them better. So these are just some objectives and policies that are currently adopted that we're just going to look at refining and making sure that they're better. But we do have a lot of these concepts in the plan already. So that is good news. And I will turn it over to Mariann.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. So here we have just a sampling of stakeholders that we have either met with so far in the working groups or plan to meet with in upcoming working group meetings. So of course, Affordable Housing Services have been involved this entire time, been very helpful. Development Services, Economic Development, the County Attorney's Office, other stakeholders include USF, specifically Dr. Strom, who I know is involved in this board, has been involved and she's been very helpful. The University of Florida, IFAS, Extension, and HART as well. We will be meeting with or reaching out to HART for our linking housing and transportation meeting. So next slide. So this is kind of small, so I apologize. But here's our timeline and some topics that we have been discussing and will be discussing in the future. So we kicked it off in September. So all the working group members could be associated and familiarize themselves with one another. We discussed adequate terminology, which has also come up in our subsequent meetings. We're just constantly making sure everyone's speaking the same language and on the same page, because words are important, and some seemingly minor change could actually make a big difference. So, and then in October, we transitioned to speaking about migrant farm worker housing and self-help housing communities. And then in November, we discussed group homes and what has been referred to so far as the special needs population. Again, looking at changing some of the terminology involved in reference to the special needs population. And then since November, we have agreed with the working group to meet one-on-one with some of the members, because some of these topics, as you can see, are very niche topics. So we have decided to have one-on-one meetings in between now and January, and then circle back with the group in January and kind of bring some of that feedback back to the whole group. So topics to come and topics we'll be discussing this month and next month are accessory dwelling units, inclusionary zoning. I know that's a hot topic. The affordable housing density bonuses, which we are exploring a consultant for, and linking housing and transportation, as Jennifer spoke to, is also very important. And so that meeting will hopefully be occurring in January. Again, with a fluid timeline subject to change. And we will also be reviewing the overall county's processing procedures, programs, and impact fees. So that said, we have a lot of work to do still. And I should mention also that that list of stakeholders that we've reached out to, again, is not conclusive. We also plan on meeting with the development community to get some feedback with the folks that work with these policies every day and to see how we can improve upon those. So I thought this was worth mentioning. There are two concurrent efforts occurring now that we are keeping an eye on that are not directly related, I should say, to the work that we are doing. We are not directly, incorporating these into our efforts now. We are tracking them and making sure that if anything were to affect the housing element, that we are going to take that into consideration. So the first one is a publicly initiated study evaluating growth and development in the Waimama area. And that study includes a proposed amendment to the housing element that incorporates the WVR2 flute category for eligibility for affordable housing density bonuses. And then the second one is a privately initiated text amendment to the housing element that proposes changes to the density bonuses and creates a transit density bonus. So I'll also say that both of these will be discussed during the BOCC workshop tomorrow, which is directly following the land use meeting. So if anyone is interested in staying tuned to that discussion, that will be occurring tomorrow. Next slide. All right, so that's it. I know we kind of breezed through this because I know there's lots of other good stuff to talk about today. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to either Jennifer or I. We're available now as well if you have any questions, and we'll make sure to keep you guys updated as we go along.
Thank you very much for your report. I don't see any hands raised for questions, but I do have one, of course. Is there anyone else that has a question that you'd like to have answered while the Ms. Abrams is here?
I have a question.
Who's that, please?
Connie Burton.
Ms. Burton, you're recognized.
And I wanted to know, could the city be considered as part of the working group members? Is this just a, county initiative, and then your partnership is based off, I saw USF Heartline, but the first question, is the city part of the working group? Anybody representing the city is part of this equation?
Moment, it is, this work is just affecting the Hillsborough County comprehensive plan. So we are not currently working on the city of Tampa's comprehensive plan. So the working group members now are consisting of county staff specifically, and other stakeholders that, as you know, HART is multi-jurisdictional, but we don't have anybody city of Tampa specific in the working group at this moment.
And the reason why I asked that, Commissioner, is because inside of our communities, we are losing ground fast. We are being pushed out into the county and being welcomed, adopted, don't know if the resources are there, but just alone, if you just think about the number of residents that had to leave recently out of the Tampa Park area, as well as out of the North Boulevard area, that should be an alarming concern as to the placement of these folks. And if I could just go back just a little bit to Commissioner, when listening to the public comments, this affordable housing term is so hijacked until it's becoming nauseating. Because I have yet to see one development that speaks to the issue of essential workers, working class people, and folks are just getting away with armed robbery. We need to craft out something that will stop this hemorrhaging, because people are being forced now into the county as they build $500,000 houses in areas that was once described as slums, ghettos, projects. We could no longer live there, but we got to live somewhere. So, if this working group don't have anybody from the city there, shame on them, because we have to answer to this question as to why this facade exists, that we are creating a housing product that's available for everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Burton, and I share your pain. and that sort of relates to my question as well. When you show the working group members, it appears as though it's only, populated by staff members. And Hart has appointed Tyler Hudson as our representative on this board from Hart. And he's a board member there, but he also is a board member here, and his hat, per se, is as the representative of Hart. And he also, if I'm not mistaken, and Mr. Hudson, if you're here, which I think you were, your work prior to getting on the Hart board was to work with the mayor's housing task force that existed when she first got elected. So I do agree that it's one thing to have a comprehensive plan that does address all of Hillsborough County, but it would seem appropriate that we have stakeholders that are citizens, that are representative of Hart, as well as the stakeholders that are part of this. I mean, that's part of the reason why the Affordable Housing Board has been expanded to include a good representation of stakeholders, including the cities, to make sure we hear that voice. But this plan does not appear to have does not appear to represent that same diversity that we've attempted to, of voices attempted to create within this board. Can you help me understand whether that's just was that a decision, or is that the way it's just sort of fallen out?
So yeah, thank you for that feedback. So we will be doing kind of more of your traditional public outreach efforts kind of later on in this process. But for now, as you mentioned, we'll be working a lot more kind of heavier with staff and also with your external stakeholders. As I mentioned, USF has been involved, and again, we haven't met with Hart yet, but that is to come because we have not spoken about the housing and transportation element as of right now, but that is to come. So the list that was provided earlier, as I mentioned, is inconclusive, and it's also, we will be adding to that going forward. So I appreciate that feedback, and can certainly look at exploring how to integrate more a more diverse, stakeholder list as we move forward.
Excellent. Can I call on Mr. Hudson to offer his support of this conversation? Are you available, sir?
Yep. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great. First of all, hi to everyone. I'm Tyler, I'm the new guy. So a couple of things to unpack. There's obviously a financial dimension to promoting housing affordability, and that, those buckets of money differ whether from the state or the city or the county. From a regulatory perspective, the comprehensive plan for the city of Tampa and the comprehensive plan for Hillsborough County don't have to be that different. I'm a land use attorney, and so I deal with the comprehensive plans and the great staffs who work with them regularly, and there's no reason that I can think of why a review of the Hillsborough County comp plan to promote housing affordability strategies can't really occur in tandem with a review for the city of Tampa. I think we drive across the county a lot, and I think a lot of folks don't really know where the county line, where the city line stops and the county line starts. So I think to view these places as completely isolated from one another can be a little bit of a mistake. And so I don't see any reason why. I don't know if that's within our power. Again, this is my first meeting here. Whether we can direct some type of parallel effort to occur with the City of Tampa comprehensive plan, that would seem to be advisable. But again, I've been a member of this board for 35 minutes, so I'm a little reluctant to come in with too many suggestions. But to Ms. Burton's point, yeah, the city has a huge problem due to what's going on in various legacy projects around the city, avoiding displacement, avoiding unnecessary gentrification. Those are issues that are really occurring most acutely right now in the City of Tampa. And so the City of Tampa comprehensive plan would be a place to direct some energy, I think.
Excellent. Thank you for that feedback. Oh, and by the way, welcome. it wasn't on my agenda that Tyler Hudson joins us as a representative appointee from the HART board. And he's had some experience working in the housing area as well as transit area as his background in land use. So we have another great board member to add to this voice. So I would encourage you. Are there any other comments or questions regarding this particular presentation? None. The next item on the, thank you very, very much for the presentation. I look forward to seeing or hearing about when the next working group meeting is, and look forward to seeing the progress that's being made in this area.
And thank you all for having us. And again, thank you for the feedback. It's been very helpful.
Great. Thank you very much for your work.
And Mariann and Jennifer, thank you so much. I so appreciate the work that you do. You're making tremendous changes, and so thank you.
Yeah, you could see that you've been listening to lots of our conversations, so this is terrific. Thank you very much for your presentation today. Next on the agenda is the legislative update. And it's the illustrious Jim Taylor, the Division Director of Government Relations. Jim, you're recognized.
That is great hyperbole. I appreciate the introduction. But this is good timing and obviously very appropriate to have State Representative Hart on here as well. I am Jim Taylor. I am the Government Relations Division Director for the county. Have my associate Lawrence Storch, that I demanded she be on here as well, because she was a massive foot soldier this past year on some major items. But we are your team. We get to work with our 7 elected county commissioners, and we get the joy and privilege of advocating up in Tallahassee and DC. Obviously, we've got session coming up. Obviously, with COVID, that has shifted the timeline of when committee weeks start. Committee weeks don't begin until January, and a strong chance that there will be a special coming up there early January. Quickly, since it was actually already talked about with the Sadowski Fund, it was fortunate we made huge strides this year to get the money allocated. Unfortunately, because of the climate that we're in, the hope is that the money that is still there wasn't swept, which is a good thing. But the money that is still there, we've been told the Florida Housing Corporation is going to try to see if they can get that tacked on to the special, since obviously they're going to be talking about the budget during the special. So we will do our part to figure out, to push and to figure out if that's going to be the case. But in terms of how we go about kind of developing and then ultimately advocating or being a proponent or opponent to certain items, we work with our directors. So I get to work with Ms. Howell, whom I love, and she gets to tell me all the wonderful things that she's doing and all the things that we need our partners in Tallahassee and DC to help us out with. And then we work with the executive team, obviously our county administrator, and then ultimately we meet with all 7 county commissioners. And whether obviously Ms. Commissioner Overman knows all things affordable housing, so I don't have to update her on anything. She's more likely updating me on everything. And we then have our priorities for state session. And then obviously DC is a much different beast. Tallahassee, it's a sprint. DC, it's a marathon. The process is different. Buckets of money we're dealing with are different. But with session, obviously with session coming up, we're going to be honed in on, again, is the Senate going to be workshopping more affordable housing bills? And obviously the big elephant in the room, of course, is going to be the budget. If you remember 2010, 2011, those were years where we weren't cutting fat, the state was cutting bone. I pray we're not going to be at that level this year. The following year is going to be even worse for a budget year. But I think in terms of appropriations, specifically Sadowski, sales, SHIP, and some other affordable housing grant opportunities, if we can keep things status quo, don't sweep, because that's our money. As Commissioner Overman, as the chair was just saying, we're still collecting money from the doc stamp, and that money is being, collected for a specific reason and should be allocated for the specified reason. And so that has been our messaging for the past 3-4 years. The Senate has actually been a great partner. They've had 2 senators in particular, Pasadomo and Mayfield, who have actually filed legislation that says hands off Sadowski. You can't do it. There's a Senator Pasadomo is going to be the Senate president, and so that's going to be a big boon. That's going to be good to continue that dialogue and working with our friends in the House, Mrs. Hart's colleagues, to get them on our side on this particular issue, especially since we are collecting the doc stamp, and it is specific, for the Sadowski Fund for Affordable Housing. And I have a document that I will actually just send after the fact. It's just quick little funding facts for the past fiscal year, both for on the federal level and on the state side. But that is I was told to be quick and to the point. I hope I wasn't too quick. But that's about the 30,000-foot view that I have from my end. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Jim Taylor and Lauren Storch are our telephone line to Tallahassee and Washington, and they've done a great job of helping us communicate to all the legislature, whether it's state or federal, how critically important affordable housing is to not only our citizens, but also to our economic growth. So I truly appreciate that. I'm not able to see the room to be able to identify if anyone in the room is raising their hand to speak, but see, is there anyone there?
You have Representative Hart.
I see Representative Hart. Normally, I would not, because you are my legislator and you actually serve in my district, so I'm going to give you all kinds of. Go ahead.
I just want to make one small comment. Jim, I would greatly appreciate it if you all will let me know early what your priorities are. Mm-hmm. Because the one thing that makes it more difficult for us from this delegation is when we're not quite sure where you are on an issue. We kind of like to know early as you all know where you are. If you let us know in the delegation, it really does help us. And as soon as I know what's happening with Sadowski, I will immediately reach out to Hillsborough County and have you all get me letters or whatever it is that might help us in our fight over in the House. We don't seem to have the same level of commitment to the housing piece like the Senate does. And you all already know that. I don't know what we'll have this time. We have lost 5 seats. So just remember that. The quicker you can get it to us, the better it is for us.
And we're working on that now. And just since we're talking actual timeline, in fact, Commissioner Overman was one of our first debriefings / briefings for the upcoming year. And, with the election cycle makes our timing a lot harder because we have 2 new county commissioners. We have, new members to our state delegation. So we will be officially bringing our state priorities, to the BOCC on the 6th. And once that has been given the blessing, that is now our song sheet for the year. And of course, they amend it as bills are filed naturally that we are fighting against or fighting for, amendments that are filed. legislation that we, or language in legislation that we love is pulled in a committee and fight to get it added back on. But all that to say, Representative, thank you for those comments. Your office will be, we'll be reaching out to your office the minute we have that document, and make sure that the entire delegation, of course, is timely notified of our priorities, especially since we've got filing deadlines and so forth. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a question or a comment? You're recognized.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I cannot for the life of me figure out how to put my full name on here. I don't know why I'm Liz and everyone else gets a real name. But so I have a couple of questions. And so I appreciate the fact that the focus is on getting SHIP funds and other money so we can continue to build affordable housing. And I think that's great. But we have some very immediate crisis level problems in that the eviction moratorium will end at the end of the month. And even the current eviction moratorium from the CDC has it's like Swiss cheese in terms of all the holes in it. So I have two questions. One is what's going to happen at the end of the year with CARES funds? I saw that in our packet, there were a number of contracts with social service agencies that were going to be giving out CARES funds for rental assistance. I'm just wondering whether we're really going to be able to spend everything by the end of December. And is there any hope for additional funding from the state and federal level? Well, the federal, I kind of know it's a mess. But any other hope for having any sort of rental assistance past January? And the other thing I wanted to say, has to do with state level policies. Right now in the state of Florida, if you want to answer an eviction notice, you are supposed to put up the back rent you owe, and you don't get your day in court until you do that. And different judges have interpreted that differently in terms of the moratorium. Some judges are saying that because of the moratorium, you don't need to put up the money, but others are insisting that you do. So people are getting evicted because they don't have the back rent to put up. And I believe that Representative Escamani in the House, and I think Senator Torres in the Senate, are going to be proposing legislation to end that practice, at least for the duration of this crisis. And so I'm wondering if you've heard anything about that legislation. I don't know if it's been filed yet, but I would think that it would be important for us to try to make it easier for people to keep the homes they have, in addition to looking to build new homes for the future.
Mm-hmm.
None of our bills have been filed as of yet. Bills are in posture. They're either in bill drafting or they're in some form of moving along. But no, we don't have any bills that are out yet. No bill numbers, none of that yet. But yes, they are working on that. And I don't know. Just keep in mind, we're 45, we're 42. So that's going to drive the narrative on what happens. Whatever the governor really wants, that's what he will get. And so far, he's really not said much about extending it, not for us here in the state of Florida. My understanding is that if you had that declaration, they would not be able to evict you as long as it's COVID related. And people have to remember that part of it. If they don't say that, there's all bets are off. You've got to tie it back to COVID, the loss of jobs, loss of hours, but you got to be able to prove that. And some people have not been able to do it. So it's been very difficult for a lot of people. I'm sorry.
Excellent. Thank you to Representative Hart. Ms. Howell, you did present to the Board of County Commission, was it the last meeting before last, some of the initiatives and an update. And I don't know if that's going to be in your Affordable Housing Services update, but you did actually make a presentation to the Board of County Commission of some of the things that the affordable housing, economic development, and a variety of stakeholders are looking at to address some of the concerns that Ms. Strom elaborated.
Right.
Could you give us a 30-second sort of synopsis of what that effort looks like, and then possibly address her questions regarding the coronavirus or funding that we've used and where we are with the benefits we have available?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Commissioner. And so first and foremost, I want to say that all of the CARES funds that came in from the state, all of those funds are encumbered. And at this particular time, all three of the agencies that receive funding from Hillsborough County have maxed out the number of applicants that they can receive. So right now, they're just stroking checks. and we're working on the administrative portion of the reimbursement. And so I feel confident that we're going to be able to spend all of those funds down before December 30th. So beyond December 30th has been the looming issue. And so I went to the Board of County Commissioners, I want to say a couple of weeks ago to present on 10 items really to focus on as we move forward in this sustained pandemic. The first being a landlord eviction alternative plan. You know, how can we come together with the landlord and the resident to create a work plan so that we can keep people stabilized? And so that takes money to be able to do it. And a portion of it is being able to pay the rent and the back rent. And another portion of it is the commitment moving forward. We're looking at displacement because some people are going to be displaced. And so we're looking at how we can rapidly rehouse them. We're looking at long-term needs. We're looking at shared housing, which is a new type of initiative for us, targeted single-family rehab. So we're going into some of the really tough areas in the and we'll be doing rehab so that the people that are housed can remain being housed. We're also looking at our rental subsidy program so we can continue to stabilize the families, a nonprofit guaranteed rent program. If you don't realize that once people get an eviction, it's very, very difficult for them to rent a place again. And so if they have an eviction issue or a credit issue and a criminal issue, it's almost impossible for them to get housing. And then we have the landlord rehab program that we're pushing too. And so we have a number of what we want to call naturally occurring affordable housing. And so those units have sometimes they fall in disrepair. And so we're looking at going out and providing an investment in those so that we can ensure that those people that are living in those units have quality of life as well. An eviction forgiveness program. One of the things in particular I want to talk about is our multifamily relationship with our owners. Our staff, we had a team of people that went out to multifamily development. We reached out to our landlords and we went on site. And we worked with the property management companies to ensure that rents were getting paid because we don't want to lose the assets and we don't want the people displaced. And these are the kind of strategies that we're going to use moving forward. So we're bringing out all the goods right now. So any tools that we have in the toolbox, we're bringing them out. We understand that people are in dire need. And so we're going to be more present than ever, and we'll be coming back to the board on how we're going to fund these programs in January. But while we're doing that, we're still going to be working on a number of back issues, administrative processes to help support and stand those programs up.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. There are some benefits still available to individuals, but not at the level that previously had been applied for the R3 program. There are limited applications available for rental assistance, and that does require the coordination with the landlord, I believe. So there are things in the works to assist those that are up against the wall. But to your point, Ms. Strom, and actually also to Representative Hart, it depends on the judge. Apparently, we're seeing some lack of consistency in terms of how the eviction stay, whether it be the CDC or the state or otherwise, how that's being actually reviewed depending on which court. So I think it is going to be important for us to look for ways that we can work across the aisle and across the lane, per se, to see how we can work with the judiciary and trying to get some consistency so that when we develop programs that they have the opportunity to be effective. And that would be very helpful. Mr. Taylor.
And the only thing I'll add, I think it was referenced about additional funding for rental assistance. I mean, as we have all seen just watching the news, obviously Congress is trying to work out a second tranche, a second stimulus that would hit many of the same cogs that the CARES Act did back in April. Rental assistance, and to your point, we're going to be dealing with the fallout for a while of the eviction moratorium being lifted. So it'll be interesting to see with the new administration and the new makeup of Congress to see if that will specifically be addressed. But I do know they're also talking about the small business loans and then whether or not they're going to do these stimulus checks directly to the families. That was not included in the most recent round of negotiations, but that actually was brought forward by a couple of bipartisan senators and representatives to say, hey, obviously we would have to spend more than the 900-ish billion figure that's out there, but we need to talk about the working families as well that, we believe need those stimulus checks that got them back in April. Again, it's a moving target. Sadly, all this is still very political. We'll see how the plane lands, but I anticipate some version, being ultimately being agreed upon and signed, but just a matter of when and, for what amount.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. And this is why it's so critically important. The BOCC did get a report last week that showed that our peak of COVID exposures could possibly be in January and February, that we are seeing a rapid acceleration of exposures. And so that delays our ability to get people back to work as people become ill or have to stay home to care for others or need to quarantine and run the risk of losing their employment. So it's really important for all of us to work very hard at this. And that's why we're continuing to look for ways that we can assist people that are struggling to make the ends meet and to care for their families. So I appreciate the comments. With that, I'm going to move on to the recently approved Board of County Commissioner agenda items.
All right, we did have one comment from Sarah Combs. She would like to make a comment, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not see that. Ms. Combs, you're recognized.
You so much. My question is for Mr. Taylor. We did hear about the strategic plan for Sadowski funds, but what is our legislative priorities for bringing home additional funds for affordable housing here in Hillsborough County? I think it would behoove this board to be able to really get on the same game plan as you in terms of what we can do for legislative session in order to secure more dollars, or if there's other funding opportunities for us to do so. I think waiting and waiting to see what you all come up with and then give it to us is kind of retroactive. So, I might speak upon myself, but I know other members of this board really want to be engaged in that process and, allow us an opportunity to do work on our side of the fence as well, reaching out to those legislators and helping give you a push. But if we don't know about those legislative priorities until after they're already created, it kind of creates an opportunity that, doesn't allow us to move forward to garner those funds.
Well, twofold. First, it is the Board of County Commissioners. It is their legislative program, and so it is the 7 elected commissioners that basically, at the end of the day, formulate this program, which is why it's great that obviously Commissioner Overman chairs this committee, because she becomes our subject matter expert when it comes to affordable housing and the needs, whether it's legislative fix, it's an appropriation, which is why Commissioner and our office is continuing to dialogue to say, hey, what are the realistic needs that we could bring forth and work on in Tallahassee. The second part I heard about more funding, I'll be blunt, there's going to be no more funding of anything this coming up state session. It's going to be a bloodbath, unfortunately, with the budget. So I think status quo is a victory. That's not to say there isn't merit and that there isn't an argument to say why, not only don't sweep, but don't veto, that line item, but to allow us to, again, to use that money the way it's supposed to. But there's not going to be any additional dollars for anyone. I think everyone's going to be holding with tight, clenched fists their budget from last year and hoping and praying that they're not going to have to cut their particular budgets. But the quickest like I say, January 6th, I believe, is our first BOCC meeting in January. That's where we'll have our priorities set. And it'll be sent to the commissioner and to all the directors, and they can disseminate it to all the committees that they're a part of. And then when there is actual legislation that we know that is filed, and we know it does X, Y, and Z, that's when we'll get involved, and that's where we work with our directors, Ms. Howell, our Commissioner Overman, who again, this is their lane. And help provide us the feedback in Tallahassee when we work with committee chairs, the sponsor of whatever legislation is filed. So I hope that answers what you brought up. Hopefully that was a little bit better than clear as mud, but hope that helps, Sarah.
Was very helpful. That gives us an idea of how we need to work with our locally appointed commissioners and what we need to do. So that helps pay the pathway forward. And that's also accurate for any legislation that we would like to pose, or, I mean, it's not just about funding, but also legislative priorities in terms of modifying or creating new or whatnot. That poses the same route, correct?
I'm sorry, say that last part again.
In relation to any legislative agenda items that we would like to see via it be bills filed or amendments changed or whatnot, we'd go through the same process that you outlined.
Yes. And again, and a lot of it is, we have our priority list. We have, what are the priorities and the needs for Hillsborough County. And that's great and good, and Representative Hart can attest to this. You don't know when other members across the state file legislation, or big PCBs, which I'm grateful the House is essentially going to be kind of doing away with those, where that's when, unfortunately, we go from not being on offense to being on defense. And sadly, the past 3-4 years, our team, we play way more defense, because we just don't know. We don't know certain bills when they're filed, what they're going to do to to home rule, to local authority, to funding streams, and then we react. We have our contract state lobbying team that provides us additional resources and intel. But until legislation is filed, until amendments are filed, it's kind of like we don't know until something is in fact filed and brought before committee, if it's not a priority already that we have already been working on.
Moving target.
One of the things that we have several more items on our agenda that I need to make sure that you guys hear, but Jim, as you can tell, I've created a team.
Yeah, thanks.
I've trained them all to be great advocates for affordable housing. And so any tools that we can bring back to our board, as you and I discuss in developing the priorities, is important. And then I would encourage our board members to review the January 6th board agenda to see which item will be discussed when it comes to legislative priorities. And if you'd like to offer some public comment at that time, I'm game. So that might be a great way of making sure that all of our members' voices are heard as we build the legislative platform for Hillsborough County as a whole. So I can't see the room, so I can't see if there's anyone raising their hands, but if seeing none at this point, what I'm going to recommend to do is hear regarding the recently approved agenda items and the Affordable Housing Services Report. Ms. Howell, you're recognized.
Yes, we have included all of the recently approved agenda items there for your review. If you have any questions, you can bring those forward now, or you can bring those forward later. We also have included reports from our different divisions and a monthly newsletter that we put out. In respect for everybody's time, if there are no questions, then I'll be done with my director's report. If there are questions, I am here and available.
Okay. I have actually now several hands raised, and I don't know if they were raised from before, but I've heard from every one of the hands that are raised except for from Mark Rosenwasser. Mark, did you have a comment or a question you'd like to have addressed?
A couple of things. Number one, a number of us within our industry have tremendous resources, human resources, that can assist in both the eviction, in the Sadowski, in those areas. And I'm talking about the residents in our apartment communities. We're doing everything as an industry to keep those evictions, and I thank Ms. Howell for sending teams to our leasing offices to work with residents to get them to assist them in any way they can. But as it relates to Sadowski, if there's, if there are just bulk faxes and voicemails and phone calls that, excuse me, can be made to the appropriate party, please let us know so that we can share those with our literally hundreds of thousands of residents who can who can share their thoughts with the powers that be. I've done legislative visits to both Tallahassee and Washington, D.C. And on any given day, if you happen to be in an office when something that is important is coming up, you can actually see the aides just come running in to the legislator and say, look, we've gotten X thousand emails. Our machine, we can't keep filling the paper fast enough, and or emails or whatever, and they listen to those things. And so, if there's anything that we can do to help Mr. Taylor's office or Ms. Howell's office or the county commission relative to those issues, I know that I speak to landlords on a regular basis, trying to get them to figure out how to work with residents who have fallen on hard times and are unable to pay rent, to and work with them and communicate with them. The toughest thing to do toughest problem we've got, the biggest problem we've got, is that a lot of times people are just too proud to come forward and talk about their situation. And sometimes my staff feels like they're dentists. They're pulling teeth from residents in order to try to help them. But we continue to pursue it, and there are numbers of resources related to non-governmental agencies that are available, and we reach out for every one of them and bring them to the attention of our residents so that we can avoid any increased escalation, homelessness, and those kinds of things.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Rosenwasser. I appreciate that. I have Connie Burton has her hand raised. Ms. Burton, did you have another comment or question?
And I just wanted to echo the same comment just given by saying that we got to have, you know, along with your legislative aid, you got to have the storytelling up by the people, whether it's in Tallahassee or in our local courts, organized, so we can, you know, expose this type of behavior by people in power. COVID-19 came in and offset an avalanche, but it exposed a whole bunch of other things as well. And we got to be able to, I would think, not continue in the same practice of them people, their problems, and figure out how we can, you know, kind of live in a just society if that's possible. So that's where my train of thought is right now. It ain't no more going back to the good old days. It's about recovering from the bad old practices so we can all have, you know, sustainability here in this country.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Ms. Howell, did you have more of your report to offer?
No, ma'am. I am. My report is complete unless I have questions.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So in your packet, there were, you'd find the various different reports and the monthly newsletter. Please make sure you read through that information. It's very, very helpful. And at this point, I'd like to open the floor for any comments or future business items that we could address either in January or in the future.
Commissioner Overman, Mr. Powell would like to be recognized.
Cody Powell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This question is for Ms. Howell. In your director's report, there was this incentive review, and I don't think that was touched on earlier.
Thank you.
And I just was curious if that was going to get touched on at all, or if this was just merely provided to us to review ourselves.
At this particular time, it's simply provided to you for your review. And as we closer through the year, we'll begin to review the different incentives, look at what we need to strengthen, look at what we may need to add to the actual incentives themselves, so that we can prepare for reporting to Florida Housing and Finance Corporation by December of next year.
So are these incentives currently being discussed in the working groups?
Those incentives are being discussed in the working group. They are also a part of our current local housing assistance plan.
Thank you.
Mr. Powell, I think one of the things that we heard earlier in the comprehensive plan is that in our planning, we're also looking at it there, where inclusionary zoning or where to identify those things fit within our comprehensive plan. So that is on the agenda for 2021 to be able to identify opportunities and methods of which we can utilize those programs to promote affordable housing. So it's more than likely going to come to you as a full agenda item to discuss in the future. We're just not quite there yet. So I have Mayor Lott. Do you have your hand raised?
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, a great meeting today. I just want to make a comment about to respond to Representative Hart. Okay. I don't know if you reached out to Lawrence McClure. I think he'd be more than happy to work with you. Okay. And this same matter, he shares a lot of the same thoughts we do. So, if you haven't, okay, I would urge you to, and if we can be a conduit there, we'd love to, but I think he would be more than happy to help you. I also wanted to Ms. Ransom, you had a question and you were talking about using some accumulation of lots, properties that maybe the county owns, the city owns, and so forth. And I'm not bragging on Plant City here, no way at all, because anytime we do anything in the county, it's all of us in the county working together to make something happen. But we just got finished accumulating the first round of lots. And of course, we made sure that the roads were taken care of in front of these lots. We took some of the lots and we combined them so they could be a little bit larger lots so we could put the right size home on it. We took them out to the market and we just had 20 out of 22 lots were purchased. And we sold them in the $5,000 range to developers so they would bring homes in that 125 and below price range. And these are brand new homes being built. They're single family homes. And so maybe there's not enough of them. There is never enough of them, but I think that's an example of what she was looking for. And we're in the first wave of that. I'll let you know how it progresses. What was nice is that we did have 5 different developers buy those homes, and they're independent small business individuals. It's not national developers. And so hopefully we have some success there. We are currently accumulating more lots as we speak and getting them ready to take out to the market as well. And one thing it has done, we've done a little bit of this in the past, is that it's actually spurred redevelopment in that community, in several different communities where there was blight. There's no, that blight is actually going away now. But it first took taking care of the flooding in those communities, making sure you're putting the infrastructure in place, putting in new roads, and then the accumulation of the lots. So hopefully we have that success and more. And any way we can be a help in Plant City to the rest of the county here, we'd love to. Madam Chairman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Lott. That's a great success story. And thank you, and congratulations on getting that done. That's part of what we've talked about in the past, is taking those opportunities where lots can be redeveloped for affordable pricing, but also where we can utilize lots and empty lots through the Community Land Trust project that's in the development to sustain that affordable housing level opportunity. So to Ms. Burton's comments and concerns prior, I mentioned earlier, a lot of the neighborhoods that started out being blighted then become unaffordable for the people that live in it. So utilizing other tools such as community land trusts and deeding or deed restriction or inclusionary zoning are ways of actually protecting those communities from being gentrified or displacing the people that have been in the community for long periods of time. So we are looking at ways that we can actually protect those individuals as well.
One more thing. What was incredible is some of the lots we got were simply lots that were vacated, there hadn't been ownership in those lots for 20, 25 years because, when we took an inventory of all the city-owned lots, there was a lot of lots and land I didn't know we owned. So I was a little embarrassed by it. So, I would imagine I'd be the same thing in the city of Tampa and same thing in the county, is that there's probably a lot of lots of land that we own that sometimes we just don't even realize they're there. They've just been there for a long time and we drive by them and don't even realize them that they're a part of government. So, as you're working on this, it might behoove us just to take an inventory of what we own and what's the best use of those lots that are just sitting there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you very much. I have 4 individuals, their hands raised first, and I do not know what order they came in, but I know Representative Hart, you have your hand raised. Is
just for a moment. I want to jump off, but I just wanted to say to you all, thank you so much. I wanted to ask Ms. Howell if she knows when they might put out another RFP, and will you all consider doing demo rebuild somewhere in the county? And then I have a closing remark.
And so after I go to the board in January, I have a better idea of whether or not those activities will be supported and what the budget is for that. And once that's buttoned down, then we'll be able to move forward, and we may be able to use some previous RFPs to get our agreements and contracts in place and get some services out there to the community.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Chair Overman. One thing I'd like to say to the gentleman that was talking about, he has the ability to put out thousands of emails and telephone calls and things like that. What we really need you all to do as your board is to pay attention to what's going on in the legislature, because this year, for the very first time, we're going to be able to make amendments right in our committee. Typically, they don't let us do that, but this round, we're going to be doing that. So it's really going to take a lot of watching what's happening, because if an amendment pops up, we might have liked the bill going in. Amendment changes that bill instantly. So we're going to really need Jim and those to really be watching this thing, because it's going to be a little different than it's been in the past. So thank you all for allowing me to participate.
Thank you very much for attending today. We truly appreciate it. And I'll see you Friday. Friday.
Actually, you'll see me on Friday.
Okay.
Delegation meeting.
All right, great. Thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank you, Representative.
I have hands up from Mark Rosenwasser, Connie Burton. Actually, Diane forgot to take her hand down before she left. And Sarah Combs. Let's take them in those orders, or if you don't have a question or comment, please take your hand down. Mark Rosenwasser, you're recognized.
My hand is supposed to be down.
I'm going to assume it is. Sarah Combs, you're recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Overman. Just wanted to specifically thank you and your team and your staff for assisting several families that I've reached out to help with their rent. Just wanted to let you know that those families have been able to get rent assistance, and several mothers. One mother has 6 children, and another one is a full-time mom that has several children as well. And just these are real families that are hurting right now, and so I just really appreciate your office being able to reach out and make things happen, whereas before it was hard to make things happen. So just want to really thank you for allowing that to happen, and for saying putting out that information into our community. If people are needing help, that they can contact your office, and just wanted to say that we appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I have a great team. The county staff has done yeoman's work this year. I am not that they don't every year, but the mammoth size of the task of rolling out a dozen programs in very short order, rapidly getting applications taken, rapidly getting them funded. Normally these kinds of programs take years to actually get, stood up and run. And I can't thank our staff enough all the way across the county for the massive amount of work that was put together in order to really take good care of our citizens as much as we could, given the impact that no one was really planning for. So during this time period, it's been pretty remarkable how much we've been able to get accomplished, and yet it's still not enough. We still have a lot of hurting families, and we're still not through this pandemic. So I encourage all of you to be very, very, very careful over the holidays. Please make sure you use as much caution as possible. If you are a business owner, please encourage mask wearing and support inside your businesses in order to avoid the community spread, because our numbers are getting very scary right now, and are anticipated to continue to accelerating through January and possibly February, without necessarily having a vaccine available till maybe March or April or even May, before it could be delivered to our citizens on a wide-scale basis. So with that, I have only Sarah Combs' hand up. And
You also have,
trying to hear you.
You also have Cody Powell as well that would like to make a comment.
Okay, Mr. Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to see if we had an update on if we have been able to find someone to do the study for the community land trust, where we are. I know an RFP was put out. I don't know if we've settled on that yet.
Mr. Powell, no, we haven't settled on that yet. We're working through the procurement office to put out the RFP. And so they'll work through their process and post the RFP, but it's out of affordable housing.
So do we know what that timeline looks like?
There's a Chinese firewall between once we make a decision to go out for a proposal. For example, this board says, "Hi, let's go do that," and we provide that information with the specs to procurement. They hone it to perfection in order to follow all the guidelines and rules, including minority business owner participation, all the wonderful things that need to go in an RFP. And then distribute that. At this point, we don't have a timeline that I'm aware of, but we have indicated that we would like to get it done as soon as possible. So we should be hearing something from them, and I'll inquire with procurement to see if they have an estimated timeline to report back to you in January. Thank you very much for the question. Any other questions? Safe and happy holiday, whichever holiday you celebrate. And with that, I'll call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you so much, everybody.